Today we're going to talk about how influencer marketing really works in this digital AI age, in this modern era. We're going to give you some tips on how you can actually use influencers to get more sales for your business for a lot more affordable than paying for ad platforms or going through a middleman like YouTube ads or Instagram ads, but going directly to the influencer themselves. Now, there are some misconceptions for agencies or companies who have never invested in influencer marketing, and they don't understand the psychology. So perhaps if you can understand where they're coming from, which I'll share with you, then I'll help you guys basically get more sales. By the way, my name is Will. I've spent 9 years full-time working for digital marketing agencies. I'm currently, as you can see, on the beaches of Nice, France. And we're going to take a little walk here, look at the beautiful water here, and essentially give you some advice on marketing in the meantime. So let's get started. Influencer marketing is something that really came about because there's all these influencers on social media with lots of followers that you could tap into. And rather than paying for ads or SEO and content and hoping that you reach the right audience through these broad targeting means, you can go directly to a community that you know has exactly the customer profile you want and get a lot of sales. Simple enough, right? Now, I think some of the mistakes that people make are, one, being too much of a cheapskate. Influencer marketing is not super cheap and affordable anymore. I think that's just part of the game. It's not a field that is so new that people don't know about anymore. But there are certain creators coming out and starting every day, new creators that you can still get a really affordable deal on because they're just starting out, they don't know the game, or they just haven't started making money from this yet. They want to be YouTubers or influencers. So the point is, I don't think you should scam them. I don't think you should undercut them or be too cheap. You, of course, should still bargain and find the best price. But when they start pushing back, I think a lot of creators and businesses have this psychology, this mindset of how these companies are being way too cheap. I'm doing all this work to make these videos, film them, plan them, schedule them out, edit them, and then put them out, and then I barely get compensated, or they still complain. So that leads me to the next thing, which is appreciation. A lot of these influencers measure their success by the amount of views that they get you. And that is a arguably viable metric, but you need to first really set expectations on what you want to measure things by, and then two, you really have to show appreciation when those are hit. Because what happens instead usually is there's not a clear expectation on how you measure success, and then there may be a misunderstanding. They got you 2 million views on a video, and that they was just expecting to get 50,000 views, and they felt like they knocked it out of the park. And I've seen this happen before. In fact, recently, Instagrammer I follow complained about this. And instead of appreciation, the company shows entitlement. They show a lack of appreciation, a lack of even joy, and then they demand more, they demand these assets and stuff like that. So that kind of tarnishes the relationship. But also, if there's a misalignment in metrics, then they may think they're killing it when they're not, or vice versa. So what metrics should you measure by? Now, views are one, of course, but there's others that you can do. Followers, the amount of leads you get, the amount of comments, the amount of sales you get. Now, the latter two, leads and sales, those ones are obviously closer to the money and maybe more indicative of business success. But when you get lower down in the marketing funnel to those revenue-focused goals, I think influencers, they don't understand those as much, at least the unsophisticated ones. So some of them have a hard time grasping how to do that. Or they can get views, but they can't get sales, or they don't know how to measure sales and leads and stuff like that. So it is kind of this cat and mouse game. But you know, that's really part of the reason why there is this great return on investment. So what do you do? Well, as I said, appreciation, an expectation of the numbers, and what's expected. Have a clear contract that's delivered to them that they have to sign. So they know exactly how many assets, how many posts, everything. It's all written down, it's legalized, which is ultimately leads to no issues in the future where people are upset, you're asking for photos or videos or stuff that wasn't delivered, and you get all the deliverables that you want, and they get everything that they want. So it sounds simple, but I think a lot of people, they just treat it too casually, they just do it in a quick DM, and you know, that's why it leads to some issues. Now, before I continue on to some of the must-do things for the highest impact to get the best results for influencer marketing, I do want to touch on a little bit of my coaching. So I offer one-on-one coaching to let you find a job that lets you work remote, travel, and work in digital marketing or as a digital marketing data analyst. These are my two professions. I do this full-time as an actual profession, and then on the side I do a little bit of coaching for anyone interested. If you're interested in that, there's an email newsletter where you could join for additional free tips as well as free coaching calls. But if you're ready for coaching and you want to pay for it right away, just reach out to me. There's a link to my Instagram as well as a contact link to email me in the description of this video, and we can talk about it further from there. All right, back to influencer marketing. One great example of an influencer marketing campaign I did was when I reached out to this influencer in this eco field, and they were very into like these eco-friendly, environmental friendly community type things, which is exactly what we were selling. Now, we worked in this certain level of insurance, travel insurance, car insurance for international travelers, nomads, people living abroad. And this community just happened to be a perfect fit because they were these like basically eco-friendly expats who traveled and lived abroad. So by going directly to them rather than paying for some newsletter or ad network, we replaced the middleman, which charges a fee. So think about like your Instagram ads or YouTube ads. You're paying for that middleman to find your influencers for you and then put an ad in between them. If you go directly to the influencer, you get a lower fee because you cut out the middleman. And you just start out by airing out the prices. Generally speaking, you know, I don't like offering a dollar value first, but sometimes you do because they don't like offering a dollar value first. But essentially you get a market rate which you can find through time, and there's now industry benchmarks, there's even experts that give you like general rates of how much you can expect to pay. And then you basically negotiate something that works well for all of them. That's what we did. And then long story short, we were able to be sponsored in this person's following and community, which helped us build our brand presence in front of a community that essentially was our perfect fit. We're literally looking for these people that were wealthy expats, and the whole name of the community was Healthy Wealthy Expats. So it literally was a perfect fit, and we got basically a great dollar value investment for the exposure we were able to get, and then not just brand recognition but sales and stuff like that. If you want to do influencer marketing right, it's really about finding the quality, not the quantity. If the quality is off and you're targeting a group of people who would never buy or just isn't a fit, you're going to get maybe a lot of views, but no one's going to buy, no one's ever going to purchase your product, and it's ultimately not going to be as worth it. So there's that. Also, it depends on what you're doing. If you're a big brand, which likely if you're watching this you're not, but if you're a big brand like Coca-Cola who just wants to get in front of as many eyeballs as possible to keep up that brand recognition, then, and everyone's technically your customer because so many people drink soda, that you can just spam out brand recognition and just focus on views, and then make that your metric of choice with your influencer. And then there's so many influencers out there who are so easy to get views that you can work with. But for most people, you actually want business and sales because you're a small to medium-sized business, which is where you would actually take more time and actually invest in the right community. So I'd rather have a small community with 1,000 followers with just the right people versus a community with 100,000 of the wrong people that you invested your money in. Find those micro influencers. They're usually more affordable and you're probably more likely to get some good deals from them. So thanks for watching. Subscribe if you want more advice on digital marketing and how you can become a remote traveling digital marketer, or at least just get your first foot in the door in the digital marketing and marketing data analyst world. Follow me for more advice, and of course reach out, links in the description for all those other things I mentioned if you want one-on-one coaching. Subscribe.